Put your hands together for Mr. Brendyn Schneider. What do you say?
Thank you. How's everyone doing tonight? You know, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to dedicate this story to someone tonight. My wife is 3 months shy of delivering our first child. So that's coming up soon. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. So this goes out to that child. This time of year will always remind me of when I was growing up. My dad used to decorate the 9-foot blue spruce that stood in our front yard. Now he lived for decorating that tree, right? Every year around Thanksgiving you'd start to notice this wild glimmer in the man's eyes. And that's because, well, some men deal in lawns, golf, whiskeys. During the holiday season, my father dealt in tree. He positioned, pruned, tied, taped, inspected, and stood out in the middle of the street to tell me to move that whole section to the right a little bit. Yeah, a little more. Sometimes the tree wouldn't need anything, and he'd go out there anyway, smoke steady butts and just hang with it. That's right. My father was the tree king, and the lights and the decorations were his kingdom. So he gets the tree together one weekend, and he comes home from work the following Monday, and he looks at my mother and me like we just burned down a nursing home. Why is there a string of lights out on the tree? We go outside, and a few of the lights are actually missing. You guys remember the old school big thick lights that you can unscrew? Remember those? No, one goes there. Yeah, somebody is in charge of those lights back here. You know, one goes out, the whole string goes. My dad, he's looking up the street, and he's like, "Little bastards." Who, Dad? I got spare bulbs in the garage, come on. Little bastards. Who, Dad? Who's the bastard? The following night, I'm looking out the living room window, and I see 2 teenagers standing by the tree. Were they stealing the lights? Sound the alarms! Dad! Dad, they're back! Who's back? The bastards! He flew into the living room, and I caught his reflection in the window above me. He was a Doberman with the gate open. In seconds, he was out the front door. "Hey, you little bastards, get the hell away from there!" And the teenagers ran from the tree, cackling and popping the lights on the street. Ha 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 ha! Pop, pop, pop! And all I can think of was, wait, the lights popped? Really? Fuck, why wasn't I stealing? Then the teenagers committed the ultimate desecration in all of kiddom. They gave my father the finger. What followed from my dad was a crystalline stream of obscenities that, if harnessed correctly, could power Cambridge. He walked back into the house, plotting their destruction in seething fury. Just gonna choke him. Could grab him and hang him around and choke him. And he joined me at the window, and he looked down at me and said, "You friends with those boys?" I was 8. Ever seen them around? Either one, doesn't matter to me, I'll kill either one of them. The big doofy looking kid's name is Paul. Sometimes I see him crossing in front of the house with the bad kids who live up the street, but I think he's older than them. Sometimes me and Mom see him standing around outside at the supermarket when we go food shopping. He's standing out there without a shirt on. But I've never seen him buy any food. I didn't know the guy with the long hair. My dad, he could look back out the window, and I did too. Catching his reflection now, I noticed steam shooting out of his ears. We're gonna get those little bastards. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I heard Bugs Bunny say, "Of course you know this means war." Over the course of the next few nights, my dad hid out by the back fence, laying low like a green beret, smoking steady butts, watching, waiting. Of course, the Christmas lights that were out before were back to form, but none of that mattered, see, because he was outside watching, waiting. And my mom would send me outside. Go check on your father, will you? Make sure he's not there killing anybody. Dad? Shh! Go back inside. Remember, you keep watch. Right. My job was to sit by the living room window and and call out if I saw a teenager, any teenager, walking down the street. It didn't matter. But who cares, right? Because I was with my dad and we were together, we were fighting crime. 3 days after the rotten teens gave my dad the finger, I woke up and I spotted triumph on the man's face. And he said to me, "Hey, that's it. It's all over." Tree came. Now, I can't give you an eyewitness account, because I was in bed, but according to my dad, here's what happened. He was at his post by the fence, probably on his 9th cigarette, when Paul shows up by himself. And as soon as the kid stepped over the property line, my dad jumps out. "Hey, you bastard, get the hell away from there!" And Paul takes off down the street. Now, it probably would have ended there if he hadn't yelled over his shoulder, "Next time I'll take the whole string of lights." The top of my dad's head blew off. Scanning the surroundings, he noticed my wiffle ball bat propped up against the side of the house. So now you have a metalhead running down the street, being chased by a furious, insane man holding a wiffle ball bat. And my dad was fast too, boy. For all the cigarettes the guy smoked, we could never beat him in a foot race. It was remarkable. So they careen up the street, around my neighbor's house, and into Olson's yard. Now, nobody in the neighborhood ever knew Olson's first name. Even my dad, who would just make up a first name if he didn't know the real one, called him Olson. Everyone did know about the shortcut through Olson's backyard. It was the shortest distance to the next block over, and old man Olson hated it. This is a guy who would actually lurk around his own yard, waiting for someone to cut through, just so he can yell at them until they left again. Now, as fate would have it, he was out that night when they came barreling around the corner. He steps in front of Paul, and my dad runs out of the darkness, brandishing the plastic bat like ancient Scottish royalty. A whack to Paul's legs, a shot in the arm, a shot in the chest. Pow, wham, bam, shrieking, baby, yeah! Now, Paul finally gets around Olson and runs down the street, and my dad yells after him, "Now go home and tell your father what I did to you." And Olson's looking at my dad. Good one. These damn kids. The bastards. The Christmas tree lights stayed lit every year from then on, and Paul was never seen in my street again. Now, even now, decades later, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you see my dad, you'll notice a wild Lord of the Rings glint in the man's eyes. And that's because the Christmas tree is safe, and my dad's guardianship is still the stuff of kings. My name is Brendyn Schneider. Thank you very much.